Welcome to the Primal Training podcast. I'm your host, Mamoun Bennani, a holistic fitness and nutrition coach. The goal of this podcast is to bring ancestral wisdom to the modern world by sharing insightful conversations with experts in movement, nutrition, and spirituality. I really hope to provide practical strategies to enhance your lives. Enjoy. Good to see you, man. I'm super excited to chat with you today.
Thank you.
I was just saying how things happened randomly. I just met you at this park, and you were talking jiu-jitsu language. I'm new to this, so I don't know much of it, and I kind of figured there's like a similar vibe between what we do. I just quickly looked at your Instagram. You do Pilates, massage therapy. You definitely have a connection to the body and some sensitivity to the mind-body connection. I'm assuming, and so I kind of wanted to have you in and chat about osteopathy, your background, and maybe we can start by just tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do and what brought you to this amazing journey.
Yes, with pleasure. So, I graduated first as a rehab technician.
Mm-hmm.
That's a CJEP technique, so 3 years. And a physical therapy technician now, it's called.
Yeah.
So I did that first. After that, I went on and traveled a bit. I lived 6 months in Haiti.
Cool.
It was as a young internship program. So
Yeah.
I just finished the program and then I did that. So that was a very good experience. I worked in a hospital with physios and doctors from Swiss, United States, and France also.
Amazing.
So,
With athletes, I'm assuming?
no, it was with paraplegic and people with spinal damage.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, I did that. And when I came back, I did my massage therapy course. So the first in Quebec is 400 hours, the basic, the Swedish massage.
Yeah.
And then I went on with another few techniques like lymphatic drainage and dip tissue and other kind of stuff. I also taught massage therapy in a school in Montreal.
Yeah.
So that was really fun. And after that, I worked 1 year or 2 years and went into university and kinesiology program, so physical activity. I did 1 year. It wasn't really for me in the sense that I'm more of a hands-on person, like with the physical therapy and massage. It's a really superb discipline, not not for me. And after that year, I went and did osteopathy, which I'm finishing this May. 6 years in total.
Yeah.
And
That's exciting. Almost done.
almost done. Yes, exactly. And while I was doing osteopathy, I started during my 5th year. I also started to train as a Pilates instructor.
Mm-hmm.
So I practiced it a year before that, before deciding to enroll into the program. And actually, this Friday, I'm starting a new course, which is 1 year. It's about muscle chains and the body. So all that.
That's
And
that's super exciting. I just feel that what you're learning now is kind of what would be on my plate, like maybe in the longer future, like maybe in 10 years or something. There's so much to learn, and I'm kind of going baby steps, but I'm seeing you like learning all these amazing things, and these are all things that I find super interesting. But yeah, cool. And so what was for you like your kind of why behind all of this? Like what brought you to rehab and osteopathy? Like was there something like personal that kind of pushed you to this route?
a lot of people is that, but for me, it was really I had an interest around growing up. I was a bit chubby, and then I started physical activity during high school, the last 2 years before going to CJEP. and I was looking somewhere something related to the physical activity or movement or therapy in that sense. And I never got injured. A lot of people is that like they
Oh
got
yeah.
injured, they went to therapy, and then they discovered it. But for me, it was really just was curious about the human body.
Yeah.
I was being more and more active, and curiosity. That's about it. And I just hit the right spot. I really fell in love with it. And after that, massage therapy and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And
Oh.
what brought me to osteopathy
Yeah, yeah, please
is
go ahead.
basically, thank you. What brought me to osteopathy is basically the holistic approach. Of course, in physical therapy, we treat, but sometimes it's very, or most of the time, it's very local. Like if your knee is injured, we're going to treat one joint above and below, meaning that we'll see the ankle and the hip, but we don't check the whole spine, and it's not really, it's two totally different disciplines. They're both really good, but I have a personal hinge towards osteopathy.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's very a holistic approach for people who don't know what osteopathy is. It's basically a manual therapy, mainly. And we go and we try to give movement to the structures in the body that don't move that well. So we call them dysfunctions. A lot of people hear dysfunctions and are like, oh, something's bad in my body. Like, no, it's just a language. Osteopathy. A dysfunction means that a structure is more mobile in a sense than another. So let's say, for example, broad example, like the arm, the shoulder. Let's say it's a dysfunction of rotation, meaning that one rotation is more than the other one. So that's all it means. One more movement in a sense more than the other.
Okay.
And we just try to balance it out.
Would that be the same
And
thing as an imbalance, or that's different?
well, a dysfunction can lead to an imbalance, yes, because of course everything is connected in the body through muscles, through fascias, the joints, and all that anatomy. And yeah, definitely, it can bring an imbalance. Yeah, and that's where, because basically what happens, the human body adapts every time, and at a certain point, your body comes to a point that it can no longer adapt. So that's usually when the people have pain. So basically, if you start having low back pain, it might be through years of bad posture. You got a car accident, but it wasn't that. I get that a lot with patients. Like, oh, I got into a car accident. Oh, but it wasn't that bad. Like, it's still a car accident. It's still a trauma, physical trauma.
Yeah.
And as you can see, it's like one thing piling up after the other, which can eventually lead to stiffness, what I call it, also.
Yeah. Well, I find that's the biggest challenge to being healthy is a lot of people wait until the big pain threshold hits, and they don't listen, or maybe sometimes you have a lot of like smaller pain signals that come way earlier, and people don't pay attention to them, and they wait until they can't function anymore, and then they go see doctors and other practitioners. But yeah, I find that's like really challenging, like to have this prevention mindset and kind of build a body that's functional, and that's not gonna endure all of the pain. So for your practice, like what is a model for you that you could give patients to avoid hitting the pain threshold? Like what would be a
But basically, the whole alternative therapy
yeah.
system, its main goal is not to treat pain. We're not treating, it's to prevent. Unfortunately, in the society nowadays, a lot of people wait, like you said, to be in pain before going to see a practitioner. Let it be a massage therapist, a chiro, osteo, whatever, alternative therapy, and
Yeah.
as a whole. So the goal of that is prevention, prevention, prevention. So my suggestion to people is like, don't wait until you're not functional anymore. Is even if you're not aching or have extreme pain, like still once in a few times, go once every 3 months, 6 months, go see your massage therapist, go see an osteo, just to make sure everything is mobile and healthy.
Hmm.
So like you said it perfectly. Like people wait until they're in pain, but the goal of alternative therapy is prevention. Prevention. Number one is prevention.
Yeah. Yeah, that's super interesting, and that's what like I like honestly I didn't know much about osteopathy before. Like the one thing that I know the most is like seeing this. It has this holistic kind of approach to treating clients. Um, but it's I feel like something that's like pushing me towards this, and it makes a lot of sense to me. I feel that uh, we like the world we live in, we're like so much specialized, we have so many experts, but that don't communicate between each other, and we kind of get lost in the details, and I find that sometimes like experts are good for maybe like treating or medical experts, for example, are good for treating like more like acute pains and surgeries and all of that. But if you have a back pain and you go to the doctor and get a painkiller, I mean, it's not solving any of your causes.
Patching. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I said, like I had an analogy in class not so long ago, where basically like Western medicine, let's say, or modern medicine, we'll call it like that, looks at the body like a car, so different body parts. So if one part is not working well, you just replace it or fix it or whatever. But it's very like on that part, but it doesn't see the whole picture. Uh, and the comparison that the teacher made was osteopathy or any, because there's not only osteopathy that has an holistic approach. Like there's
Hmm.
many other disciplines. Only that I'm an osteopath, so I'm like
You're biased.
slight. Yes, exactly. But yeah, there's many holistic therapies, and basically the holistic therapies look at the body as an ecosystem. So the picture that the teacher showed us was a pond. Like there were animals or plants, trees, water, and it all functions together. You cannot take out the water because or else the animals will die of thirst. And examples like that. So you see, it's a whole ecosystem. That's how basically we see the body. So one structure can affect the other. I'm sure some people have experience with, oh, I went to see an osteopath. I was aching in the shoulder and he treated my stomach or my thorax and he didn't even touch my shoulder, but the pain in the shoulder went away. So, oh, okay, cool. And that's just by uh, pure anatomical links. Because like I
Hmm.
said before, it's all related in a way or another. And yeah, in osteopathy, we study the anatomy of the body pretty in depth, let's say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Interesting. And there's probably I don't know much about the history of where the practice comes from, but I'm assuming that there must be some similarities with, for example, traditional Chinese medicine or other alternative type of medicine, where you know, for example, how in acupuncture you can like put a needle somewhere on a on your toe so we can relieve the pain in your like some headache or something like that. I'm not sure of the details of how it functions, but there's this connection of through the fascia, and as you're saying, it's an ecosystem, and you can work different parts of your body that will relieve other parts of your body. When you have a knee pain, it doesn't mean that it's coming from your knee, but it's completely different in a different part of your body. I'm just throwing this out here like this, but I'm assuming there might be some connection. What do you think?
They weren't developed in the same part of the world. Like osteopathy comes from the United States by a man who was named Andrew Taylor Still.
Hmm.
If I'm not mistaken, around the 1800s. But in Quebec, it's pretty young as a therapy. It came around in the 1900s, like mid 1900s. Uh, but yeah, they share some similarities. They do, and it's funny enough to see sometimes like acupuncture works with meridians and with different with the chi they call
Hmm.
energy uh, that has to be free flowing in the body to be able to be healthy.
Yeah.
And Yeah, so basically it has some parallels, but it wasn't like Chinese medicine or traditional Chinese medicine has been around for 2,000 years more or less.
Yeah.
And so you can see it's not the same time frame or
Yeah.
let's say same years, but they do share, funny enough,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
some similarity.
Yeah.
But
yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, like in osteopathy, there's four principles, like four, let's say, yeah, four principles, we'll call it like that, that guide us for the treatments. And the principles are basically one, looking the body as a whole, like
Mm-hmm.
not seeing individual parts. So that's one principle. The second principle is the free flow of liquids, meaning the blood. So if
Mm.
there's some stagnation somewhere, it might bring some pain, some disease, or whatever, something bad actually. So we
Right.
wanted to, we call it the law of the artery, la loi de l'artère,
Mm-hmm.
meaning that if the blood can flow through the structure, it's going to be healthy because the blood brings oxygen and all the nutrients to the
Mm-hmm.
cells. It can be healthy. The third principle, if I look at my notes, I have them right here. Uh, so yeah, the interdependence of the structures. So one structure can affect the other,
Mm-hmm.
and it can go as simple as the thorax affecting the mobility of the lungs. So one structure affects the other. So if the thorax is rigid for any kind of reason, the lungs won't be able to expand fully and retract fully, so they won't get their full range of motion. And after a middle term, long term, it can affect either the lungs, the capacity of it expanding and retracting, or affect the rigidity of the thorax.
Mm-hmm.
So one structure can affect the other in that sense, or as simple as another joint can affect another via some muscle tissue or some fascia.
Yeah.
And the last principle is the human body is able to heal itself. So the example I always give my patients is a scar. So
Mm-hmm.
if you cut yourself, you're not looking at your scar and you're not thinking like, okay, I have to heal, I have to heal. So it does it by itself. The body can auto-regulate or heal itself. So
Yeah.
we go at about four principles to for the basis of the therapy, and then we build on and we treat with our hands and evaluate with our hands.
Yeah. That's I find super interesting. Especially, well, they're all important, but the last one speaks a lot to me. That the body heals on its own, and the way I was educated when it comes to like health in general is that whenever you have pain, there must like I need to fix it. I can't let something in pain just like this, like whatever cut. You go cry, your mama gives you something like a pad or something, and you need to like hide it and relieve the pain. And I kind of grew up with this mentality for a long time until I started to realize that pain is just my body telling me that something is cooking, something is working. It's either like inflammation. We're all like the example for inflammation for a long time, like athletes and people in general, whenever they get inflammation, oh, get put like some ice, and you shouldn't be feeling the pain, you shouldn't be feeling the inflammation. Although, like chronic inflammation is obviously not bad for you, but when it's acute, it just you have more blood flow, and you're trying to heal uh, from um, from the trauma, and it took me some time to realize it. And when I started to realize, I find that I have such a better relationship with pain, and I don't see it as a threat, but more of a communication, a way for my body to communicate with me and tell me when I need to rest, or when I need to stop working out, and yeah, it changes the whole dynamic.
Yeah, exactly. And like the pain signals that your nervous system receives is basically just an alert to tell you like, oh, this body part, be careful with it. Like there's something, like you
Yeah,
said, there's something cooking, and you should attend to it. And again, inflammation itself is not bad per se. Of course, chronic inflammation can be negative for your body
Mm-hmm.
in the long term. But yeah, and like I said, it changes the whole perspective people have with pain also.
Yeah. Are you familiar with the inflammation theory of disease?
No, I'm not.
It's well, it's a theory that kind of says that 99% of all diseases we have today are maybe like a result of chronic inflammation. And I was just hoping like maybe we can hope on that. But it just reminded me of this theory, which I find fascinating too. Is like um, most inflammation is a byproduct of like an unhealthy lifestyle, and a lot of people are it's thing you can kind of enhance with a better lifestyle, and it's kind of encouraging for people to know that, because if you kind of try to have like a healthier day-to-day activities, like eat better, sleep better, and do your things, and instead of like try to fix pain and try to get medication whenever something is wrong. I think it's I'm losing. Hello, can you hear me? I don't know what's going on here. Hello? Oh, I think I got you back. Okay, can you hear me now? You hear me?
Yes, here.
Okay, okay. I lost you for a minute. Um, yeah, so I don't know where when it cuts about, I was saying that it's encouraging to know that major diseases can be prevented with a healthier lifestyle, and instead of trying to fix pain and fix it whenever something is wrong, like try to shut it down, that you can enhance your lifestyle and see like more treat it with more like therapies, and seeing people that see you as a whole rather than just like try to patch the pain. It's You can avoid most diseases, and I find this is so empowering. Of course, there are diseases that you can't prevent and that you'll be born with it, but there's so much more that, like, most of the other diseases, that's what we're saying, it's 99%, but like most of them can be avoided with a healthy lifestyle.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, yeah. A lot of people don't know how much power, but I always put it in perspective for the patients that I treat, because of course they're in pain. They come and see me, and neck pain, low back pain, whatever pain they have, and I spend 1 hour with them working on their body, and I always tell them like I spent 1 hour in a week with you,
Mm-hmm.
and in perspective of the whole week, that's almost nothing, and they don't know how much power they have to really either just go for a walk, just move for 10 minutes and get the blood flowing, eat healthier. Yeah, just you can have so much stress management. That's another big thing that you
Mm-hmm.
can guide the patients through. You can give them tricks, you can give them websites to go see or YouTube videos. And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like 5%, 99% of the work is done by the patient. The therapist only does so little, but at the same time for the patient, like, oh, the pain is gone, so I'm done with this. But they don't understand it's a continuum. They have to keep on moving, keep on eating healthier, keep on doing things to like improve their body.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that in modern society, let's say, like it's getting more and more sedentary, like office jobs, computer jobs, or they're sitting all the time, and they're in a rush in between two meetings. They eat a hamburger or something to take out, and people don't take time anymore for their body. And also, what I find again with modern society is a bit like they want results now. Like I
Mm-hmm.
don't have time to 3, 5 sessions, I have this magical pill that the doctor gave me. It's gonna make my pain go away, and I'll be able to go like in 1 hour to do my things. So yeah, it's just patience. Like changing the body is not done overnight. Like best example is physical exercise.
Oops. Something is wrong with the video again. Hello, hello, hello. Yeah, you're back. You're back
Can you
again.
hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I don't know what's going on now. Okay. Yeah, so you were I think it cut when you were saying you were talking about exercise. I can't remember what you were saying about exercise.
I was just saying saying that people don't know how much they don't take the time anymore as much as they used to just work on themselves. Always running in between 2 meetings, between getting the kids from school, or there always seems to be a rush. And
Yeah.
like I said, guys, I'm sure you know, everybody that does sports knows that it's not an overnight thing. You have to work hard, you have to be
Hmm.
consistent, day-to-day work, and eventually you get the results. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. And that's something well, I implement on myself, and I try to give this idea to my clients is that uh, I want to give a workout to people that they can do until they're 70 years old. It's not like for sure the intensity is going to change, but we should be able to keep doing the same thing in the long term. Whenever you have a workout that you can do only like for a few months and then your body is so much exhausted that you can't keep up in the long term, it's a bad thing. It's not self-sustaining, and you'll never be able. I mean, you can see like some short-term benefits, but your body is it's like you're eating your body, and you're not able
Yeah.
to regenerate this energy. And yeah, I think it's really important to when it comes to health to find solutions that are sustainable and things that you can implement in your daily life and things that are reasonable. Like let's say someone who's overweight, not to tell them go run 3 hours every day for the next 3 months. I mean, yeah, if you do it, you're gonna lose a hell lot of weight, but it's not something that's reasonable, and it's not something that it's gonna be sustained. You'd rather tell someone who's obese to walk an hour every day for the next year because you lose weight eventually, but in you can keep up the same pace in the longer term. So yeah.
Yeah, in a more yes, yes.
Yeah, so speaking of which, speaking of exercise, is there a conventional like do's and don'ts of osteopaths when it comes to exercise?
Like I said before, like the osteopathy is mainly manual therapy,
Mm-hmm.
and most of the time osteopaths have a physical therapy background.
Mm-hmm.
So for my for the whole exercise prescription, let's say, is
Mm-hmm.
from the years I've worked in the field of physical therapy. Because like I said, it's manual therapy, and it's very. That's one thing that got me into Pilates actually, for to become a trainer, is
Okay.
because a very passive alternative, let's say, because
Mm.
the patient comes, he lies down or on his stomach, on his back, or sits, and we just manipulate, mobilize, do whatever we have to do on the body, and then thank you very much, see you next week, or see you in 2 weeks, whatever. So
Yeah.
I think that was feeling I was lacking was empowering the patient, and
Mm-hmm.
that is done with me because there's many ways. Like nutritionists have a way to empower the patient also, but for me it was more physical activity oriented.
Yeah.
So I was practicing for a year Pilates, and for those who don't know, Pilates is a system, is a workout that was created by Joseph Pilates
Mm-hmm.
in the early 1900s, I believe. And during the time he was alive, it was called contrology. So that gives you a little hint of of all the movements have to be controlled during
Right.
the Pilates.
Slow.
And when he passed away, then it took the name of its inventor, Mr. Pilates, which is now the name, official name, let's say. And it's
Mm-hmm.
based on 6 principles. Again, so all the therapies have principles. And for Pilates, it's control, centering, breath, flow, precision. I think that's 6. But basically, all those movement has to be fluid, controlled.
Oops. Hello, hello, hello. Losing you again. Yeah. Sorry
Yes,
about that.
sorry, I don't know.
So, yeah, I don't know if it's me or you, but or maybe it's the time of the day. Everyone is connected. What's going on here? We're having issues. Okay, we're back. We're back.
Okay.
So yeah. So you were mentioning the principles, and then you cut. I lost you after that.
Okay. So yeah, the principles, like I said, all types of therapies have principles, which they base their uh, efficiency on. Let's say we'll
Mm-hmm.
call it like that. And then control, uh, flow, breath, precision, and centering. I think I said that, but basically the whole 6 principles gives you another hint about like the need of control during the movements, and also some movements are movement patterns, meaning that we'll go extend the elbows, then we'll go circle around, and it needs some coordination to be
Mm-hmm.
able to do that. So basically, what Mr. Pilates, his way of thinking was that you have to be able to work the body and mind at the same time by doing
Mm-hmm.
like either seemingly complex movements, uh, and that the mind only wasn't good, the body only good. It was a whole mind and body connection that he was looking for through
Mm-hmm.
his workout system. And yeah, so it got me into Pilates because I was practicing, like I said before, during a year prior to beginning the certification to become a Pilates instructor.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, well, yeah, it just the effects.
You know what? What about we cut it here?
We call it the powerhouse.
I think I'm having an issue with my Wi-Fi. What about we cut it here, and then I'm gonna put another live and we go part 2, okay? Sorry about
No
that.
problem.
Yeah,
Let's do that.
let's.
Okay.
Okay, we're back.
Good. Should we work?
Okay, yeah, should be working now. Quick disconnect. I don't know why. My internet lately has been really shitty, but should be good now. Um, so we'll continue. We've had a good momentum. So let me get back to what we were saying. So we were talking about the principles, the 6 principles, uh, and then I lost you.
Okay. So yeah, after saying the 6 principles, is I was just getting into the focus, like the benefits of Pilates. Like I said before, I practiced it a year before, and
Yeah.
the benefits are real. Like in my body, just the posture. A lot of it is we call it the powerhouse, which includes basically from, let's say, from your top of the ribs down all the way, and it includes also the gluteal muscles.
Okay.
So that, let's say, 3D structure, let's say front and back, okay,
Yeah.
are the powerhouse. So a lot of emphasis is put on the abdominals, the gluteals muscles, the quads, the adductors, the
Mm-hmm.
muscles that bring the legs together, so inner thighs,
Yeah.
and also. And through what I've learned, I can definitely see it, all the muscle chains merge in a way or another at the center, in the center of the body. So for me, it makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
As I was doing it, I was also analyzing the movements and seeing the benefits. And I've tried it with patients of mine. Most recently, I have had a lady that has a herniated disc
Mm-hmm.
in the lower back, L5S1. And since I've been learning how to train people with the Pilates method, I've been mixing with osteopathy, manual therapy, physical therapy, and Pilates. So we do 30 minutes one and 30 minutes the other one. And like I said before, what got me into Pilates was to empower the patient more.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see with her really good results because she does the exercises at home. She keeps working. She not only comes and see me and that's it. So she keeps on working on her own, and yeah, it's just beneficial for her body,
Yeah.
for her lower back, her whole body as a whole, as a unit.
Yeah. Yeah. Super, super interesting. I mean, this mind-body connection changes so much. Just like putting the intention on where you want to uh, feel it, or where you want to work. Like just little things when I train my clients, and then you tell them to do an exercise, and then right after you tell them, okay, now do the exact same thing, but just focus on this particular part of your body, or just focus on this muscle, and then it
Yeah,
changes everything. Just this intention uh, makes the result so much different. The posture is so much better, and you actually feel your muscles working where you want them to work, rather than just like everything like disconnected and just doing them randomly. But yeah, I think it's something that needs to be taught way more. Being able to visualize where you want to feel the movements that you're doing.
yeah, definitely. And a lot of people think like, oh, I don't need a personal a trainer or an instructor. Like I can do the workouts by myself. But a lot of time that, like you said, that external cueing, like, oh, put down your shoulder blade down. Put the knee towards the inside, or little cues like that really change the whole exercise. Even for me,
Mm-hmm.
when I practice on my own, let's say we'll take the example of Pilates since we're talking about it. So if I do my workout, my Pilates workout on my own, and I do it with an instructor, it's totally different because in my head I'm like, oh, okay, I'm doing the movement okay. But when the instructor is there, it's like, oh no, point your toes even more. Oh no, go and stretch deeper. Oh, go. So that whole external cueing really changes the whole workout, basically. If I
Mm-hmm.
work out alone, not sweating as much. When I work out with instructor, it's like so hard because he's always like correcting one thing and another. Because you're never perfect. Like perfection is not human. So there's always something to
Yeah.
improve.
Yeah, exactly. And I find that, like even same for me when I train, I end up being in the same patterns. Like my body knows the patterns, and I will be ending up doing the exact same thing over and over. Even if I can like progress in some way, I find that the best way to kind of go forward is like breaking the patterns completely. And like let's say if you're a tennis player, go play soccer, or if you're used to doing one particular type of movement, do something completely different, and you'll see how your body's going to react, and you'll feel some soreness you've never felt before, because you're putting your body in an uncomfortable place. And I think that's one of the benefits too of training, either with a partner or with a trainer, or with a therapist, like being given things that are really, really out of your comfort zone. But yeah, that's one way to progress way faster than sticking with the things you're used to doing all the time.
Yeah, it's the basic principle of muscle confusion. Basically, when your body is used to something, a routine,
Hmm.
he'll expend less energy in the long term because you're doing always the same thing. And what a trainer does is, like you said, he puts you out of your comfort zone. Again, a trainer should be able to understand the level of his patient or client, better said, client, and from there he should be able to adapt any exercise, the
Hmm.
level, the difficulty, the intensity, the time, and so on and so forth. So, like that's what you as a trainer, me as a Pilates instructor, that's the observation sense that we develop, and yeah, we can adapt the session to the clients that we have.
Exactly, exactly. Um, so I'm not sure, but would there be, so now you had like, this is like your philosophy when it comes to training, and things you kind of give to your patients, that come to you. So you have your philosophy that's not like necessarily uh, osteopathy philosophy, but this is your own, and that's a good thing. As a practitioner, we're not all the same, and like different practitioners have different philosophies, and that's your own view when it comes to exercise. Um, is there also like, do you touch on nutrition when you're with your clients, or do you have something that you I see that there's this holistic approach, but do you touch on nutrition in some ways?
Uh, Osteopathy itself, we don't talk about the nutrition part. If ever there's a big issue, uh, we can refer to a nutritionist, and also the best results that are obtained with patients or clients is by multidisciplinarity. I'm not saying like just go see an osteopath, just go see a massage therapist, just go see a physio. It's basically, and it's proven by science that the best results are obtained when everyone works as a unit, as a whole, basically, like for the same
Hmm.
goal. The goal being the health and well-being of the patient or client. So that's proven. So I'm not looking to be a one-man army, let's say, as a
Hmm.
therapist.
Yeah.
So for the nutrition, no, I don't touch it. But if I have questions, I have basic knowledge through my courses and through the years I've been working, and I could always give a few advices. But if ever it comes to really, I need help with my nutrition, like the planning and everything, then I'm like, okay, this is out of my league. And as a professional, everybody should know their limit. Like, okay, this is out of my league. I'm not an expert in this, or I'm not comfortable talking about this because I don't have enough knowledge. And then you
Hmm.
refer to a colleague or to someone else, and that's the patient or the client, I should say. The client will only be even more grateful because he, he'll say or she'll say like, okay, he was honest enough to say like that he didn't knew, but at least he guided me to the right resource. Because if somebody, let's say, comes to me and says, I want to do animal flow and all that stuff, I was like, okay,
Yeah.
go see Mamoun. Like I'm an expert in that. You
Yeah.
want to do
I
Pilates?
got
Then
you.
come in. Okay, and
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, that's one of a strength of many therapists that they know their limit. Like when something is new or they're not comfortable with it, they're honest or humble enough, if I may say, to refer to a colleague or to another professional.
Oh yeah, that
So yeah,
totally makes sense.
and
Yeah.
also like what I'm good at or what we work with is basically our hands, like I said before, and we touch all the structures of the body really. For people who are wondering, sometimes I get that comment like, "Oh, osteopathy, it's like magic." Like I was hurting in the neck. He touched my arm or whatever, not even related to. He never touched my neck, and then I got
Hmm.
healed, or I was in no pain. And it's basic anatomic knowledge because, like I said before, everything is related in a way or another. So
Hmm.
there's three big sections, let's say, of uh, of the parts that we can treat. one of it is the viscera and the organs. So we work on the tissues. And again, if I take the example of the liver is a big organ right on the right side. So basically from here, you can see it's not a small thing. It covers like the front and the back. So
Yeah.
like I said before in the beginning, like a structure can affect another one. So the liver can definitely affect, if it's not healthy or whatever, affect its surroundings. Okay, so one thing is viscera. And I have an anecdote for each section, let's say. So I had this patient that had low back pain. I saw her once. Her problem was really more mechanical, meaning that some vertebrae weren't moving well. I treated her, and then she was fine. A few months passed, then she called me again, and she's like, oh, the same back pain came back. Okay, come and see me. Booked an appointment. She came into the office. I looked at her vertebrae, and that's the strength of osteopathy, like the sensitivity of the touch. I look at her vertebrae, and I was like, this seems fine. Like, it's moving well. It's not restricted. And then something popped in my mind. I was like, did you have any digestive problems lately? Like, oh yeah, last week I got a upset stomach. Like, I got diarrhea and all that stuff. I was like, okay. On your back, I treated for 40 minutes. I was treating the mobility of really the abdominal area. And the same night, she called me, or she texted me, and she was like, it's gone. The back pain is gone. So that's one, the viscera and organs that we work on. The other section, the second one, is the craniosacral. Basically, cranium is not all solid. It moves. Every part of the body moves. So even the cranium, it's very subtle, but we're trained to feel that movement. Okay? And the whole cranial system is connected all the way to the sacrum. Like, basically, for those who don't know, the lower back, the tailbone, let's say,
Right.
through membrane. Okay, and another anecdote for that was a lady that came for when she was sitting down, she was having pain in the coccyx. She couldn't bear it. Like, she would sit all crooked and she wouldn't be comfortable. And she came and see me, and she had some concussions in the past. She suffered from migraines. A lot of symptoms that, for us, tells us that it's craniosacral related. And I evaluated her coccyx again. I was like, this is moving well. Mainly treated her neck and her head. I was at the like very subtle movements and just giving back mobility.
Yeah.
And in 2 days, it was gone. And yeah, I'm not perfect as a therapist. I'm not trying to convey that, but let's say I was able to identify the source of the problem. I was lucky enough, let's say. And the last section is the more conventional part that everybody knows. It's the musculoskeletal system. So if there's less mobility in the joint, we give it back through manipulations of the muscles, the stretching, releasing, muscle release, myofascial release, and there's a lot of different family of techniques that we can use. Some are more hard, and some are more subtle. When people say like, oh, he just puts his hands, or the osteopath just puts his hands on my head and he just waits, like, we're working. We're not just thinking about our weekend or trying to give back mobility. Like I said, osteopathy in one sentence is giving back mobility.
Yeah. Well, it's funny that you were mentioning, as like, people think it's magic. You just touch the head, do this, just put your hands and it's all heals. Well, in some way it's magic. It's science magic, because it's when you understand how the body functions, and I think especially when you really embody this knowledge and it becomes part of you, you can go in consciously and just touch here and touch there and just fix things, because you're not taking your textbook and like looking, oh, where should I be putting my hand? What should I be doing? But you totally understand how the body function. And I think that's where the misconception we get from people that like many ancient cultures, where they would have like a shaman or like a ancient types of healings, where they would, like, you have these stories of people just touching people and they just heal. I mean, they just understand the body in such a deep level that it seems as if they're doing nothing, but they know what they're doing, or maybe they don't know, but unconsciously you kind of you know exactly how things work. But yeah,
Yeah. Sometimes, like you said, where with gurus or shamans, and also a big part of it is also the mind of the client itself, like the placebo effect, the power of the placebo effect.
mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's many studies on it, and we can just have a podcast just on the placebo effect itself. But
Yeah,
basically, yeah, how strong, how powerful the human mind is. Like some people miraculously healing of a cancer just by positive thinking or whatever. Like you have different. It's not mainstream, of course, but
mm-hmm.
neuroscience. It's just neuroscience itself is like so wide, and the power of meditation, the power of the mind, the power. Yeah, we can just
Yeah,
go. We're so much stronger than we think. Like women, kids, men, whatever. Like humans as a species.
yeah. That is crazy. So much more that we don't even know. Things we can do that we don't even know. But yeah, new studies are here to show us that, as you're saying, you can control. I mean, we have so much control on things that we think are just random and just happening in our body. And Wim Hof, you probably know about Wim Hof.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So it's crazy. I mean, it's crazy how he's been showing all these doctors and all these scientists that whatever they think is like maybe he's he's just like a special individual, but it's something you can teach your body to do, and you can control all the chemical reactions that are happening in your body, and that's something I think that we've just lost because we're becoming like animals in a zoo. We're becoming domesticated, and we're forgetting how to interact with our bodies and how to interact with nature, and we're losing touch completely with what's happening really in our bodies. And I think it's something we did for like not decade, but like hundreds of years and thousands of years. But it might come back. I feel that more and more people are talking about these topics, and it's coming back, and it will come back sooner or later.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. For those who are watching and don't know, like the Wim Hof method is basically three basic principles that, again, principles. We come back to
Yeah,
principles.
again, more
Uh,
principles.
their their therapy on or their method on. Like Wim Hof bases his method on correct me if I'm mistaken, cold water bathing,
Hmm.
breathing, and meditation. If I'm breath work basically and
Yeah,
meditation. So
yeah, cold
the three,
exposure, and yeah,
yeah, and yeah, it's really interesting. What the human again, what the human mind can do, like just through being in sync or being uh, listening to your body, basically, really being in touch with yourself, exactly. And we
yeah.
get a lot with patients, referring a lot to patients because I'm a therapist mainly,
Hmm.
and some patients, I work I work the cranium, I work the shoulder, and working a structure to give it back its mobility. And they're like, "Oh, you're on my shoulder, but I can feel it all the way through my sternum because
Hmm.
that's the fascial line I'm trying to work." And some people are really out of sync with their body. Let's say that's again a modern day thing.
Hmm.
People are in their heads and they're like computers, jobs, phone, this this machine that we all have in our pockets,
Oh yeah.
and they lose touch. And they're like, "Oh, do you feel something?" Like, "Oh, no, I don't feel anything." And so you
Mm.
can see those two types of people. But like you said, hopefully more and more people will start to realize that the human species has been out of sync with their
Yeah,
nature. And yeah,
yeah,
and a bit, if I may, a bit talk a bit about the course I'm starting actually this Friday
yeah,
in two
yeah.
days. It's
Please.
about muscle chains.
Mm-hmm.
The method, again, it's called method GDS, so GDS method. And
Mm-hmm.
GDS stands for the name of the person, of the lady that invented the technique.
Okay.
So Ms. Godelieb Denise Struff. She was born in Africa and then moved to Europe,
Mm-hmm.
live and so on and so forth. And basically, the therapy itself is a very interesting approach to the human body. So, of course, they work the muscle chains, but it also has that uh, it's psychological factor. The best example I can give you is if there's 6 muscle chains in the GDS method, if a
Mm-hmm.
muscle chain is more dominant than others, that's where imbalance may come, and eventually pain uh, may be in the body of the person within that imbalance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and different muscle chains activate different muscles, obviously, and someone that has a, let's say, anterolateral chain very developed is someone that the muscles composing that chain are very like closing the human body.
Yeah.
So we'll have that person that is very introverted. Opposite
Mm-hmm.
to that is the PL chain, the posterolateral chain, which the person will be very extroverted. So again, like the muscle chains and psychology or the behavior of the person influence one another. And for that, I have also like a book that I really liked. I read recently. It's called
Yeah.
the Emotional. Like I'm not getting paid to publicize this, but
What is it called?
it's
I can't see emotion.
Emotional Anatomy, and basically
Oh,
it
oh, I
says,
heard about that one. Yeah, it's on my list.
"Okay, cool. I'll lend it to you if you want." But basically, the
Cool.
whole human body works in contractions, and retractions, at a cellular level and also at a more macro level, like the human body as a whole. We're all always either expanding or constricting, let's say. And it
Huh.
goes. It has a link with the GDS. Actually, there was the teacher that did the introduction that mentioned this book,
Mm-hmm.
and the whole approach is basically that the human emotions affect the physical body, and the physical body affect the human emotions. So they're related in one way or another. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm really excited to start that course because I'll be learning more about it. Again, my knowledge is very basic at this point. I've read a bit, I have books I've read about it, but eventually I'll be able to treat manually. Again, they do myofascial release and the release of the chains, but
Mm-hmm.
there's also that movement re-education
Mm-hmm.
part that I'm really interested in. And because if you see that someone has a muscle chain more active than the other, you'll do or you'll give the right exercises to balance the body. So it
Mm-hmm.
has a manual part and also a more teaching movement rehabilitation part. So
Wow.
which was it for those who are watching, like the Feldenkrais method. It's also another movement re-education system, which is again I know very little about it, but I really like all those kind of therapies again to again
Yeah.
empower the client even more. Yeah.
That's super interesting. And these are, I mean, all these techniques have one really important thing in common is as you were saying, it's empowering. You give practical tools to your clients. You really give them tools to enhance their lives, things to apply in their daily lives. Like I know, for example, like the Alexander technique, and this too. It's like really how you apply these postures or movement to your. It's functional. Like if you're, I don't know, if you're a runner, you're gonna apply it differently than if you're staying home all day, or if you're and 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 I find, yeah, this is really important to find, to really give tools instead of solutions. For example, or like you can maybe like do manual therapy. For example, like manual therapy is solves a lot of issues, but you just don't go home and continue on doing your whatever you do in your daily life. But you really should be. It's important to give people this. These tools to use and enhance their lives.
Yeah, exactly like you said. Like it's just it's what's getting me into all these different kind of therapies
Hmm.
with the movement and all the re-education. It's really to give more power to the patient or the client, I should say. And if I may, I was just gonna for the to give an image is worth a thousand words, they say. So
Yeah.
basically, we're just about talking about the muscle chains. So this is one of them. If somebody
Okay.
is the AL chain, anterolateral, and the
Yeah.
morphology of it is someone who will be very introverted in this kind
Uh-huh.
of way. So if we go, the opposite of the AL chain is the PL chain. So again, we're looking at another muscle chain.
Hmm.
And if that is dominant, the person will be a more extroverted kind. So you see a more opening, like
Huh.
chest and stuff like that. So again, this is
That.
just a really just 2 pages on the whole technique. It was just to give an example, but again, it's very wide and complex, which I'm
Wow,
hoping to
you're
learn more in the next year.
that's exciting. You're really selling me this technique. Wow, that's so interesting.
But you,
Yeah,
you're going to ELDOA, you told me.
yeah. I'm going. I have my training in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Yeah, I'm super excited as well. It's just one of these many things that I want to do, and there's so much stuff to learn, and unfortunately you have to like pick things that that will give you a lot of like the most of your time. And I find that there's so much things that I can apply in my coaching and in myself first. I need
Mm-hmm.
to test it on myself and try it and see how it enhances my life, but eventually use it and give it to my clients as well. But yeah, ELDOA is just one of, I find it sums a lot of things that we've discussed about, and it's all about this mind body connection and being able to really go be really peculiar, be really like pointy when it comes to like your movements, and that's where you need a trainer or or
Yeah.
someone to assist you in like, oh, like for example, like you can be doing like a psoas stretch, and sometimes you can be gaining a lot of stretch by doing like just a normal like kind of half kneel stretch, but having someone telling you, oh, you need to like point your hands forward or bring your have like a nice tall posture with your head back, and then you try it and you feel like you're gonna die, and it's like stretching so much more just by doing like these little changes. I find this fascinating, and if it can like give you much more benefits by just doing a little tweak, that's like
Mhm.
that's everything. It changes the whole game.
And for the people who are watching and don't know about ELDOA, uh, like you mind explaining a bit what it is?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Because
of course.
again, not so long this week. I was like, "What is ELDOA?" from a patient, and then I just explained it. But go
Yeah.
ahead, you're doing it. So
Hmm? No, you go.
okay, so basically, ELDOA is an acronym for that stands for French.
Hmm.
Étirement longitudinal de décompression ostéo-articulaire, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know it by heart. I know it's like such a long word for me. Like, yeah, yeah.
And basically, it's developed by an osteopath, actually, Mr. Guy Voyer, which is from France. And then he also came to Quebec, Montreal, and he went into 2 osteopathy schools. But eventually, yeah, he developed his system to be able to stretch and decompress like the name says, osteoarticular system. So basically,
Hmm.
all the joints and give it back its mobility, but not in a manual therapy way, but more of a active part of the patient, like him moving himself and the teacher guiding him through the movements. So it's really
Right.
a cool technique. It's in the same time again as all the we go again like GDS. We go also RPG. RPG stands for Rééducation Posturale Globale, or
Hmm.
uh, global. I don't know the
Global
acronym.
posture. no, I was thinking GPS. There's something else for GPS. I think it's more for the soma training thing, but maybe not.
Controlled language, let's say we'll call it like
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
It's all falls into the same family of techniques, which again involves the human body, its movement in a more general aspect, to give it back its mobility, its flexibility, its strength, and so on and so forth. So it's really all those techniques, GDS, RPG, ELDOA that you're going to do,
Hmm.
Feldenkrais, all those methods are really, really efficient, in my opinion.
Yeah. Who do you think would most benefit from this type of techniques? Is there anyone can benefit from it, or do you find that some people in particular need it more than others?
uh, Everyone can benefit from it, really. Like as long as therapy goes, like massage therapy, it's good for everyone. Like kids, babies, adults, elderly people. Like osteopathy, same thing. Same. It's for everybody. Everybody can definitely benefit. Even if you're fit, you're healthy, you'll get even more fitter. You'll get even more fitter and more healthier.
Hmm.
If you're in pain or aching somewhere, again, I'm referring to Mr. Pilates. He wrote a book, Back to Life, in his where he describes his method
Hmm.
and explains all the methodology and principles. And basically, one part of the book is basically it's good for everybody. And one of his wishes was to implement his Pilates system, his contrology, and all the public schools, and eventually like
Schools, yeah.
every kid could benefit from it. So as you can see, all those methods are beneficial for really
Hmm.
anybody.
Oh yeah. Cool, cool. I'm really enjoying this, and I'm sure we can go for hours, but I think we'll have to like start wrapping it up.
Yes.
But the question that I had, so we both agree that like we were talking about this pain signal, and we're getting the signals, and sometimes we get signals sooner than later, and then before you reach the big pain where you can't move anymore, we get so much more signals, and we both agree that being able to connect and listen to these signals is life changing, and you can avoid so many illnesses and disabilities and all of that. And my question for you is, in order to avoid reaching this big pain, how can you teach someone or tell him or her or give them tools, for example, to get in touch with their bodies and being able to listen to the signals a little bit sooner? Um, like, would you have like an advice for people who are, as you're saying, when you're doing your massage therapy and you tell someone you ask your clients, are you feeling anything, where do you feel pain, and they said, I don't know, I don't feel anything. So how can you learn it?
I find it harder to teach with the older the person, the harder it is because they have like it's also cultural. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
it comes. Let's say like I come from a Latin culture. My mom and dad
Mm-hmm.
are both from El Salvador, and basically, yeah, they're like, oh, man, don't cry. Like, man, don't cry.
Right.
So again, there's something cultural to it. But
Mm-hmm.
if I want to sum it up in short, let's say, like really trying to be able to present with your body. I guide a lot through the breath work
Mm-hmm.
and meditation, body scanning. Like that's the simplest thing. You just have to either sit down or lie down and just scan your body. Like, how is my jaw? Like, it's tense. Okay, I'll release it. And eventually, like, you do it often enough that you're more in sync with your body. You're just so like, okay, if you're working, your shoulders are all tensed up, and you're like, okay, my shoulders are tensed up. There's some consciousness that comes into it after a while of practicing it. And again, like anything else, it has to be practiced to be beneficial, because you can't
Mm-hmm.
do a body scan once every month and say like, oh yeah, I'm doing meditation and I'm more in sync with my body. Like, no, it's like saying, oh, I'm lifting weights once a month and I'm hoping to get big biceps. Like, won't work that. It doesn't work that way. So again,
Mm.
train the mind, train the body, and yeah. So as long as you keep at it, you'll be more conscious of your body. Again,
Yeah.
the mind work being like towards being more conscious, like meditation, body scans, breath work, like feeling where it inflates like your abdomen and then your thorax, and just being able to feel that. For some people, it's very hard to just teach that simple exercise of breathing correctly, let's say, or an abdominal breathing. So some people are like they breathe and they're all in the thorax, and yeah, again, it's all about practicing, being more conscious, either by yourself or having someone guide you through it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so short answer would be body scanning, meditation, and breath work.
Yeah, all these simple things, they're not, they're all free. They're easy to implement, and yeah, people unfortunately we look for much more expensive solutions and trying to have like complicated things to implement in our lives. But it's, as you're saying, just like sit down and breathe and take the time to. And it doesn't have to be like an hour or half an hour. It can be like just you're I don't know, you're heating something in your microwave. It takes 2 minutes. Just go sit down, and instead of checking your phone, just like sit down and scan your body. And
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
As simple as 5 minutes, like once every day. Like yeah, it definitely pays off. Definitely.
yeah.
And also, like you said, it's free. Like you can go running, walking, or do whatever your level is. You can definitely go and just move. And the next day you'll feel your body if you had a good workout. And it's like, okay, I feel my body. And that's another way again to be more conscious.
Mm,
Like, oh yeah, I had this muscle in my body. I forgot about it. Like, yeah, it's getting having
yeah.
more conscious. So yeah, physical activity, therapy as a whole is just as prevention,
Mm,
meditation, breath work, all the mind and body connection really pays off in the long run.
yeah.
And a bit like you said, people, or like I said in the beginning almost, people want results. Like it's the now generation, let's say. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
I want a trainer, I'm going to train once, and I expect to be all ripped. Like, no, it takes time. Like, I'm going to see an osteopath, I've been in pain for 6 years, and he's going to fix me in one appointment. Like, doesn't work that way, unfortunately.
Oh,
So it's all about patience. Patience is a virtue, like they
yeah,
say.
yeah. It's like when people tell you, oh, I want to lose 30 pounds in, I don't know, like in 4 weeks, and then you ask them like, how long did it take you to gain 30 pounds? It didn't take you 4 weeks. It took you like maybe years or months, and it's the same
Uh-huh.
thing. You can't reverse something just because you took the decision. I mean, you need to plant the seed and put the intention and work for it, and like and work on a sustainable really on a sustainable level. Otherwise you're just, it's not gonna last.
Yeah, yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah. Well, Hector, I really appreciated your time and the amazing discussion we had. I'm sure we'll have much more. We'll keep on chatting either on live or outside, but I'm sure we can do amazing things. There's so much knowledge that you have, and I'm grateful that you shared it today with people that have listened. So yeah, thanks
Yeah.
again, man.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And if anyone has any more questions, they can always contact me. Feel free to message me. If it's questions about therapy, even though I'm not treating you or anything, you're not my patient, like, don't worry. I'm not, I'm really open-minded. And yeah, eventually, when I learn more about the GDS and I'm halfway through it, I can definitely talk more about it
Oh
and more in
yeah,
detail.
oh yeah, of course, man. All right,
So
man.
thank you very
Well,
much for
thanks, appreciate it. Take care, buddy.